Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Super excited to dive in with my buddy, Amanda Webster. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you for having me, Miss Megan.
Yeah. Let's tell the people how we know each other. You wanna tell the story?
I'm trying to think if it's 3 years,
Probably
4 years,
2.5.
two.
Two
I'm
and a
trying to
half.
think. Well, we met in a great networking mastermind event that one that I say catapulted my career direction that I'm at now. So I've made some amazing relationships in that specific one, and that's where I met you. And
Yep.
luckily, you until recently you've been local for me, and I've been able to tap in to see you more, although I know I'll still see you long term. But yeah, no, that was and it's an event that, or a mastermind, that I'm still a part of, you're still a part of. It's
Mhm.
a huge piece of my whole network is in that room.
Yeah. 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 So Amanda and I are in a real estate investing network slash mastermind together. And everybody knows I'm not a big real estate investor. It's not why I'm there. I
Right.
serve a lot of the coaches and educators there. And Amanda, you were part of it. I guess you were one of the few women who were in it when I joined,
Yeah.
because there were only like 10 to 15 women when I joined 2.5 years ago. And now we have like 60, 70 women in that group. It's
Yeah, there
amazing.
was maybe a handful, and
Yeah.
I'm just hitting my 5 years of being in that group, so I've been in there for a minute. Yeah, it was all men. It was a lot smaller originally, of course, but it was all pretty much all men. There's only
Mhm.
a couple women in there. Some of them aren't even in there anymore.
Yeah.
So it was a very intimidating room to start in, and I'm not a real estate investor either, so I definitely in that room for different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love how you just kicked off how we know each other, and you used the word catapult your career. And you said like being in that mastermind has really catapulted your career. So let's use that to segue into what career are you in? And then just go right into just talking about the power of being surrounded by the right people in a network and what that can do for your career, no matter what your career is.
Yeah, I've had a really interesting transition. I was actually in the legal industry for 17 years, up until COVID, literally up until 2020. Legal, never did anything else outside of legal. Grew law firms to C-suite level, but COVID happened, and I just got burnt out. And it was a great opportunity to like stay at home with my kids for a minute and then make some changes. And I ended up finding myself at a financial company that funds businesses. And one of their main avatars was real estate. So that's why I ended up in that room initially, was to kind of facilitate and help people in the room, same way you are, like, helping the coaches, helping their students, all in that real estate side. Um, but I took a really interesting turn because I came from operations. I came from running the operational side of things, and fell in love with what we now call affiliate relationships, right? I didn't know that term prior to 2020, but being able to market in a way that's all through relationships, it became a love of mine through that funding company. I ended up getting into the C-suite level pretty quickly there as well, and taking over and revamping that program, and growing that program. And I'm really proud of all the work I did there, but really it was the people. So I fell in love with, just weirdly enough, like working with people in a very different way, and being able to grow myself as well as grow a business. It's a very interesting way that it works, but that's why that room has been instrumental to my trajectory. And I did leave that funding company not that long ago and took on a different C-suite role at an accounting firm, but same philosophy. They're in that same group, so that ended up working out
Mhm.
really well for me.
Yeah.
And same thing, building on the relationships, and being in those rooms, and having amazing partnerships and deals that happen just from being human.
Mhm. When it comes to relationships, I think a lot of people are really shy about how to build them, how to approach them. And, I especially for those of us who are introverts, I think you're an extrovert.
Yeah.
Everybody knows I'm an introvert. But
Yeah.
especially for those of us who are introverts, we think we have a complex, we think we have social anxiety. Like I don't know about extroverts, but introverts definitely put a lot of labels on themselves. And I know that because I am one, and I did put a lot of labels on myself. And something that I do admire so much about you is you are a fantastic relationship builder, and it's so natural. And sometimes that can also be really intimidating, especially for people who feel like they don't just have like that natural ability. And I'm
Yeah.
just curious from you, I'm not making any assumptions here, does it feel like really natural for you, like you were born with this gifting or skill to communicate, to build relationships with people, to know what questions to ask somebody, to be interested and curious? Is that just like, oh, I'm an extrovert, I was born with that skill? Or is it a skill that you had to build over time?
I don't think it's an introvert extrovert thing because even though I'm an extrovert, and I've always been, this is like from the dawn of time, I've been an extrovert, right? This isn't like something that happened overnight. But I wouldn't say that I naturally would have had the ability of how I function now 20 years ago, right? This is something that's been built over and building my confidence. And a lot of it comes from just that confidence, right? We all get imposter syndrome. I don't care who you are, I don't care what room you're in. You've definitely walked in and and I had that going into that mastermind. Like my first, I just sat there like, what am I doing here? I do not fit in here. These people are so much wiser than me. But I think it's a confidence thing. And if you think of it as relationship first. Like, don't care about business, don't care about any of the other things, but how can I develop real authentic relationship with people, right? And learning about them. I am very intrigued by different people's paths, their stories, how they got where they are, especially in the entrepreneur circles. So I think I naturally just want to know their stories. I want to know, like, but what do you do and how do you help people and how did you get there and how many kids do you have? Like, I just want to know all the things. I think that part's probably natural. And that's
Mhm.
why people like you probably think it just, I'm good at it. I want to know. I want to know, what happens in your world, both business and personal, because I never know when I can make a connection. And I think that's what kind of fills my cup is to connect people and to know that like putting the right people in people's paths, whether it's for personal or it doesn't matter. It's just putting people that should know each other together. And that obviously sometimes works out for me too, but that's not the point of why I do it.
Mhm.
I love talking to people. I usually have a problem shutting up.
Well, I think all of us have to learn to love that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even you probably didn't like, I mean, you said it yourself when you went into that network, you weren't loving having conversations with people because you were telling yourself you didn't belong and those people
Yeah.
are so much wiser. I think that we have to learn to fall in love with the things that we're afraid of and learn to love the things that we have to do as a business owner that maybe we don't really want to do. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the first step is you have to be willing to love those things because there's whether it's building relationships or it's something else, there's a lot of things in business that you probably don't like doing
Oh
and
yeah.
don't want to do. And there's a lot of things I don't like doing and I don't want to do. But
Yeah.
oftentimes the things that we don't like doing and we don't want to do, that's what actually leads to reaching the goal. It leads to the destination that we're going for. I don't know if that's been your experience.
Yeah. I think anytime I've been uncomfortable, I've grown. I've tremendously, right? I forced myself in that room and then in subsequent rooms, to be uncomfortable. I mean, getting on stage for the first time was terrifying. Like literally, I'm like, am I shaking? Like, am I doing okay? Like you're just in an out of body experience, and then you still have to deliver, right? So, I think that getting uncomfortable is the where I've grown the most, and it's what led me to where I am now. And now I can get on stage and it doesn't bother me. I don't love it. I don't want to be on a stage. I don't want to be in the front of a crowd. I definitely love talking to people one on one, but I don't necessarily love the big group. I mean, I can do it. It's a requirement for me to grow. But that's one of the things like I'm currently going through. That's the current journey of mine is like going over and learning how do I get comfortable with 300 people in front of me staring at me. Not a
Mhm.
comfortable space to be in, but I am forcing myself to do it because I know that will then lead me to the next thing and that will lead me to the next thing. So always getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mhm. Yeah. So the role that you play at the company you're with now, the
Mhm.
accounting firm, in what way does relationships, because you're a big time relationship builder. I mean, I see you building relationships with people, collaborations, partnerships, making deals. Based on what your role is, where do relationships come into play for you?
So, I think there's always an opportunity with anyone you meet. I always approach it that way. There's always an opportunity to learn, to make money, to make them money, whatever it may be, right? Like, whatever, it doesn't matter what part it is. So, in my current role, I mean, I literally spend probably half of my day doing nothing but following up with people to see how they're doing, reaching out to new people to see, if I can just have a moment of their time. And when I do, I don't ask them anything about what they can do for me. I'm just learning and naturally building a relationship. And in turn, what ends up happening is some of those big deals that you see is they naturally are like, well, how can we help you? Because if you come to it as a giver, if you're constantly in a state of giving, it'll always come back to you. And I didn't believe that at first, but I have now practiced it for several years and it is like true beyond measure. And even then, I've made some amazing friends along the way. People that I
Mhm.
actually like, I truly care about. Not that I don't care about the other people, but people that I connect with. And I'm like, wow, I never would have even had the guts to talk to them. Like there's a woman in that group that's like, she's so intimidating and she's so powerful and she's so successful. And she reaches out all the time. She's invited me to her lake house. Like it's crazy what you get when you just build relationships, but it ends up turning into lead magnets, lead sources, because they naturally want to then learn about you. That's the
Yeah.
whole point. And it's not necessarily the point of that, but that's how the circle goes around. People who don't, then they're just not meant to be in that circle with you. If they're not ever
Mm.
going to give back, you got to drop those ones.
Do you have any like tips, or I don't know if it's tips or if it's strategies, or maybe the right word is an approach. So, how do you approach, and maybe this is a certain sentence you say or a certain question you ask, or maybe it's like a mindset, because there's different types of people you're reaching out to.
Yeah.
Some people you're reaching out to, it's the very first time you've ever made a connection. Other people, and you said this, some people you're just following up with, some people you're checking in with. So there's different degrees of relationships that you have with people. And I think one of the hangups that a lot of folks have, especially when it comes to building relationships, like I'm so much in like the Facebook world. I do so many like DMs, like a lot of my
Yeah.
relationship building, it's happening in the DMs. And I've really figured out like how do I, how what type of question do I ask somebody so I know they will actually answer my question. Or I was on a podcast earlier right before we got on, and the person interviewing me asked, "How do you know when it's the right timing to transition into actually making the offer to someone? And how do you not
Mm,
feel so salesy when you do that?" So there's like all these different examples and degrees of relationships that we have with people, and I think where a lot of folks struggle is they truly don't know what to say.
yeah.
And even in one of my programs, I've got, I think, 15 to 20 pages that my clients have access to that's just DM scripts. And it's literally like, just go say this to people. And when they have that, they're like, oh, now I know exactly what to say. Let me go say that. And then it works. And
Yeah.
so I'm just curious from you, because I don't know if somebody taught you how to do this or if you just kind of have figured it out through trial and error. But in your mind, when you're reaching out to somebody, how do you decide and discern what to say to them so that it doesn't feel like off putting and you actually can start building the relationship or take the relationship to the next level?
So it depends on where I'm like if it's in person, if it's online. I do a lot of the DM stuff as well. It's not any different. I think one of the things I will say, especially when I am chasing or trying to connect with someone that's big, right? A big whale, a big, persona. I will do my research. I will actually go in and look at their lead magnets. I will check out what they're posting in their content. Like I will actually look to see what are they putting out online? What can I learn about them online so that I can find one piece of it that I can go, "Hey, I saw you were in New York last week. Did you try this restaurant?" something completely off the cuff that has nothing to do with me, Accruity, this, that. It's all about, I want to actually them to think and feel, and I do it in a very real way. I want to be able to connect with them on a human level, that I actually took the time to figure it out. When I'm reaching out to people, as a funny thing, this morning, somebody that we mutually know, he posted his baby avatar on his like story, and it was hilarious. It was so cute, this whole new baby marketing thing. And I've been talking with him for months, never ever tried to land any kind of deal or anything with him, but he's a decent sized, person in our world. And I just literally texted him. I said, "Oh my gosh, I just saw the little baby of you. Adorable, love it. I can't wait to see what you do with it." No requirement for a response. It's if you go in with the idea, now that's a follow up. So that's an example of like how I follow up someone I already know, versus a new person. A new person, I'm going to learn, I got to figure out what it is. Like if I want to talk to Russell Brunson, I better come with something that's going to intrigue him enough to respond to me. And it better
Mm,
not be about ClickFunnels. Like it better be
mm,
about something totally different. So I think that's how I approach it, but I genuinely actually want to know about the people also. So it's a little research. I think that comes from my
mhm,
legal days of constantly having to research clients and stuff and what they're
mhm,
doing is, and the same thing I did with clients back then is connecting with them on a human level, being, working and doing I did divorce law. So doing their divorces, having to connect them on a human level, no matter what they were going through. So I think that's
mhm,
probably where some of that stems from is that
mhm,
original part of my career. So it's, it's something I've learned definitely through some trial and error. Definitely have picked some brains of people we know that are in the relationship game as well. But there's no way to like script it. You have to authentically do it and
mhm.
also be committed to like keeping notes and knowing like what did you talk about last, what would be the right timing to follow up with that person, paying attention to when they go on vacation so you can be like, "Oh, vacation was great." It's genuinely, think of it like you would with your friends. same
Yeah.
same concept.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I picked up on. Number one, you said this a few minutes ago, but you're spending half a day
Mhm.
basically in relationship building mode. Why do you spend half a day in that? I hope you say what I think you're going to say.
Because what you put effort into will always be what grows. And it's 100%. I have day after day find wins in everything that I'm doing and building my network. And I think you know this, like I am an avid believer that your network is your net worth in business. Like
Mhm.
it is everything. So it doesn't matter if I land a deal from that relationship today or if I connect them with someone else and they land it. What matters is that consistency is what's going to continue to build as long as you put in the effort. And that's how
Yeah.
everything works. And I will tell you, selfishly, it has led over the years to millions and millions of dollars in revenue,
Yeah.
just naturally by having these conversations and by
Yeah.
and caring. Like if I know
Mhm.
someone's having a baby, I am definitely the one that will find the registry and send a little gift. It's definitely my
Mhm.
style. I'm not spending a lot of money, but the point is like I want to know. Like I
Mhm.
truly want to know what's going on. I want them to feel like they could call me if they need something. And that's when it all, and it's long term. It's a long game. There's no short game in this.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the second thing that I really picked up on that you said, because a lot of folks are very, I don't know if the word is, it's not necessarily like it's self absorbed, but it is kind of like, I want to make a sale and I want to make it now. And it's like they want somebody they're talking to just like work with them right away. And what I'm hearing you say, I mean, you just said it again, you keep kind of reiterating this is a long term game.
Yeah.
And sometimes a deal isn't going to close, or you're not going to have some sort of collaboration or whatever. Like that could take months or it could take years. How do you continue to build the relationship? Because I'm sure, look, you're human too. And I'm sure there is a part of like in the back of your mind, you would like to close this deal. You would like for
Oh
this
yeah.
person to become like, we're all human. Like we're thinking that it's somewhere in our heads. How do you keep going even when there's no sign or signal that this person, like you're going to close a deal anytime soon? And I'm asking you that question because I get asked that question a lot.
Yeah.
And the way people will phrase it is, how long, how long or how often should I be following up with someone if they're not like saying yes. I mean, they're not saying no, but
Right.
people almost think like, if I have to follow up with them 3 times, they're just like, not this is not a good lead. This is not a good relationship to be building. And I disagree with that. And it sounds like you're following up with people for a long time.
Yeah, listen, it's a long game. So I definitely will take periods of breaks, right? So if I'm following up with somebody and we're having conversations, but maybe I it's not going anywhere, or I just feel like it's not going to go anywhere right now, I'll definitely take a break. I won't be, I mean, I'm not following up with these people every single day. Like it doesn't
Right.
work that way. I try to have a cadence similar to you would with a sales cycle, right? I try to have a cadence of I'm going to try to touch once a month anybody that I'm kind of constantly working on. People that I have deeper relationships with will depend on kind of what's going on. But not every relationship leads to money ever directly, but
Mhm.
it doesn't mean it doesn't lead to it indirectly. It doesn't mean that that person isn't going to go, hey, as they're talking to somebody else, you need to know Amanda. You need to talk
Mhm.
to her. She has a solution that's going to work for you. And
Mhm.
so it is worth constantly always having and keeping the relationships no matter what it ends up
Mhm.
being. And you
Mhm.
can't, kind of like with marketing, you can't always directly correlate it like that. You have to think of like the SEO game is long game, right? You can't just, SEO doesn't work overnight. It's the same philosophy and it compounds. So, I did a webinar a couple weeks ago with somebody who's pretty big in the social media game. He's in all the groups that we're in. He's got a great presence. And he did that as a favor because of the relationship of I needed to test a webinar. So I'm like, hey, can I test it on your audience? He's like, yeah, absolutely. It didn't matter if it landed to sales. What I learned from that was huge for me to learn for someone else, even though he may not make any sales and he might make some. You never know because we're still working through it. But my point is like even being able to ask that favor of somebody, hey, can I use your
Mhm.
audience for something really quick? Doesn't matter if it doesn't make any money. The things I'm learning from that matters.
Yeah.
And that was an easy ask. And also, same person that you were in the room with me that said, you have to ask the question. Don't be afraid to
Mhm.
ask. It was that person. And I went and asked him, and he's like, absolutely, let's do it. Let's schedule it.
Oh,
Let's get it done.
amazing. Yeah. Well, and you wanna have people that you can go to that you pretty much know are gonna say yes, and look, if they say no, it's fine, but
Yeah.
you've gotta have those people in your sphere of influence.
Oh, yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. And it's
I
somebody I follow and look up to too. Like I
Yeah.
watch what he's doing. I see the things that he's trying on social media. I'm learning from him as well. And I know I can text him and be like, hey, who helped you with this one thing? Can you get me that person? So it's
Yeah.
it's also just all about those connections. It doesn't always lead to the direct like affiliate referral partner. But I
Mhm.
promise you it does. It some like it all just keeps going round and round and round.
Yeah.
And I you've never sent me a lead that makes me money, right? It doesn't, that's not what it's about. It doesn't always
Yeah.
look at that direct stuff. I like you as a human and I want to know you. If that ever leads to something great, but if it doesn't, that's also okay. And I think that's how
Yeah.
you have to enter it.
Yeah. I think sometimes people think I've always heard this over the years, like, if so this person let you come in and test this webinar for yourself in front of his community, a lot of people have in their minds, well, oh my gosh, but I can't ask them to do that because I don't have a big list where they could come and test their webinar in my audience. I hear that a
Mhm.
lot. It's like, if I ask this person to be an affiliate for my program and I'm going to pay them like 30% commission on all the sales,
Yep.
why would they say yes if I don't have the same size audience for them to come in and sell their yada to my audience? Because a lot of people think it's very tit for tat. Can you
It's
can you
not.
speak a little bit of truth into this? Isn't
Yeah.
about tit for tat. If you ask something from someone or you're offering someone it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to give you the exact same thing in
No,
return.
but be transparent. That's transparency is key when you are working a deal like that. And I have plenty where I'm at right now, I'm in a list build mode, meaning that I don't have a big list. I don't have a big community right now. I'm in the build phase at the current company. So we can't offer that now, but what I can offer is other things or other, you know, I've offered, hey, do you want us to look at your financials? Would you like us to audit your stuff? And I won't charge you. And so you can see how it works, right? I've offered that before to somebody so that I could then run my offer to their list. They said
Mm,
yes, because it isn't always tit for tat. And also
yeah.
remember, your offer has value. If your offer is paying them is a great bonus, right? But what most coaches, community leaders, any of them care about is, are you bringing value to their people? Are you actually bringing something that's going to solve a problem for them, and you're going to do it at an amazing level of customer service so that they look great, you look great, and everybody wins. And of course, disclosing that, you pay them for those converted
Mhm.
clients, but it's more than just that. So I think that if you
Mhm.
approach it with transparency of, hey, listen, I have this amazing offer. I think for your community, it would do these things. Bring data, always bring data to anyone you're working to deal with. Bring data of like what it's going to be, what you can provide them, um, sprinkling on top what you're going to pay them for that stuff, but also say, and I can't offer you necessarily a swap. In the future I can, but I'm building a resource hub, and I'm going to have referral partners on there for my clientele as I'm building. I'd love to get you on there. And oh, would you like me to do an insights package, which is basically, let me look at your financials, see where you're at, give you a roadmap to success. I'll do that for free so you can see the quality of what we provide.
Mhm.
So it does both
Mhm.
things. So it's not tit for tat. And there are some people who actually look for offers to run to their list because they want to monetize their list, because they spent so much time and energy doing it that
Mm.
they can no longer sell their own product to their list, right? That's
Yeah.
exhausted. Or they'll have more than one list. So they can
Yeah.
offer to run to a different list. So
Mhm.
don't be afraid to ask, and be transparent, and be okay. If they say no, they say no. Like,
Yeah.
what's the problem? I've been
Yeah.
rejected. It's not like I haven't been rejected.
Yeah. It's okay if people say no. Yeah, on
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
next. Oh, I
yeah,
love that. I'm glad we went into that because I think people have a really hard time even asking because they're taking themselves out of the game because
yeah,
they think I have to exchange, like you said, the swap. I've got to do like an equal exchange swap with the
yeah,
same thing, and you really don't. You have to be creative though, because you gave a lot of examples where you're having to think creatively and
yep.
you have to understand what's really going to benefit the other person. So I think that's important.
I've
Um,
through The owner is a big real estate investor of Accruity, and I've through his name. I'm like, hey, do you want to call with Casey? He'll give you a strategy session on whatever, whatever the. I will become creative to find ways to make it, make to sweeten the deal at that point. But the only thing I'll ever say to people is, the answer is always no if you don't ask. It's
yeah,
always no.
yeah.
And nobody's gonna, unless you come at it like sleazy, no one's gonna be mad at you for asking.
No,
It doesn't work like that.
no. I love how you say it doesn't work like that,
This
but everybody thinks that it does before they ask.
doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it doesn't. Okay, so there's a hot topic that I was sharing with you before we press record, and that's the rise of AI. And AI is coming up faster than we can even blink an eye. And I was doing my nightly scroll on Instagram last night because it's what I do at night to kind of like unwind this brain of mine and turn it off.
Same.
Is I'll just scroll on Instagram for a good
Yeah.
20 to 30 minutes. There you go, outed myself. And I came across this one Instagram reel, and I have no idea who the guy is. I don't even know what industry he's in. I don't know what business he owns or runs. And his perspective on AI is one that I had never heard before. And so he's talking about the rise of AI, and he was kind of talking about kind of the opposite of what I talk about. I talk so much, and this whole conversation you and I are having, like, I talk a ton about building community, and I teach people how to build a buyer ready community. This whole conversation you and I are having is about human to human contact. Like, building relationships is a contact sport. You're spending half your day reaching out to people one on one and having conversations with people. And so you and I are like teachers of that and proponents of that. So this guy is talking about AI, and he's talking about the opposite, Amanda. And he's saying everybody is going in the opposite direction of wanting human to human contact. And he had some interesting points, and I'm really curious what your thoughts on this are. He was like, just look at Amazon. We would rather sit on our couch by ourselves, not interact with a human being, click a button and get the thing at our front door. We don't even want to wave to the Amazon person. We would rather not go to the restaurant and order a meal. not let alone sit in the restaurant. We want to go in and get takeout. We would rather take out our cell phone, order from our cell phone on Uber Eats, and have it delivered to us. We would probably rather a drone deliver our Chick-fil-A bag to us than a human being drive a car up and leave it on the doorstep or like knock on the door. So he's
Fair.
giving all these examples of things that have been created over the last like decade that's really taken the human out because we as humans don't want to interact with humans. I mean, look, I've got a 14-year-old. She's going into high school. And Brighton's kind of always been this way. I mean, she really does like people, but it's kind of like this almost like joke in our house. Like she says all the time, like, I don't like people. She doesn't like to go out to eat. If we give her the option, she would rather just stay here. Now she's got friends. She's off with a friend right now. They went down to
Yeah.
Frenchie's. They rode their bikes. They're at a restaurant, have a little lunch together. Like
Love
they do stuff.
Frenchies.
She's like, just let me work with animals. I don't want to deal with people. So it's like, and people look, anywhere you go to the gym, everybody has their headphones on. Nobody's
Mhm.
looking at anybody. Nobody even wants you to be around. It's like, get off the machine so I can get there. So he's like literally building this case for we need to go in the direction of like anti-human connection because that's what everybody wants. And here you and I are like going full blast into no, it's like more human connection. I'm just super curious your perspective on that and AI and where does this contact sport of human to human connection like where is it going in the future? Obviously, I understand there's AI and there's automation, there's systems in the back end, but like, what do you think? Are we entering into a world where like this whole community building, relationship building thing is going to be a thing of the past?
I don't think so. I think what I look at COVID, because it's the only comparable thing in my lifetime, is that everybody loved it at first, like the whole staying at home and working from home and doing all this stuff, right? And then there became a point where it was like, oh my God, get me out of this house, right? Like, so I think there's going to be dependent on what we're talking about, right? Like 100% Amazon, it isn't even about, I think for me, and I think a lot of people, it's not about not wanting to interact with people. I actually disagree with that. I think it's because I don't want to have to go to 6 stores to research the
Mm,
right product, the right brand of that product. Like I want to go into one spot and be able to see what are all the options for this thing that I need. And also the convenience of like reoccurring things like my dog food. My dog food just comes. I don't have to
mm,
think about it. It's not about necessarily not being around people. Now, I work from
mhm.
home now, and so I enjoy being in my office and being in my hub and I can my family's right out in the other room, right? I love that. But like earlier today I went and got my nails done cuz I just need to get out of the house. I just need a
Yeah.
minute like out of the house. So I think there's definitely going to be certain industries that are affected to that degree that he is saying 100%.
Mm.
I don't know that like for me, like I would actually don't ever order food on an app. I'm probably an
I don't
anomaly of
either.
that.
I
I
don't like
don't
it.
I don't do that. I don't really eat a lot of fast food and like easy, quick food to begin with. I mean, obviously I have some exceptions to that rule. Chick-fil-A is probably one of them. But my point being is that we eat at home because my husband's an amazing chef and the food's better and it's from scratch and it's a
Same.
healthier option, not
Yeah.
because of not wanting to go out. Now, when we do, we go for the experience of going out, less than about the food itself. So
Do
I
you
don't
grocery
think that's
shop
the
or do you get
case.
your groceries delivered?
No, we grocery shop.
We do too.
It weirds me out to have somebody picking my meats and my vegetables and my
Yeah.
fruits. I don't know why. I'm just like, they're not going to pick it the way I want to pick it. And especially my husband being a
Yeah.
chef. Like, it's like a big deal for him. So,
Mhm.
I think that there will always be a place for community, for coaching, for events. Like, look, we all couldn't wait to get back to in-person events. Like the virtual event thing got so bad that I was so excited when we got back to like people actually being allowed to be around people again. Like that was amazing. But there will be parts of AI that are going to take over things for sure. But I can already tell if you send me a message, if you sent it to me, or if you copied and pasted from an AI, you know, chat GPT type thing. There's just anomalies you can see in it. And so I think that people will pick up on that and it will eventually there might be a little bit of like it's a big flashy toy right now. Um, I don't think it'll ever replace it though. I don't think AI can ever replace certain industries because you need the human element to it. It's, it just doesn't work. It can work for certain things for sure. And there's going to be people that lose jobs because of it for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, that's
Yeah.
that's the evolution of us, our technology and how we're, going forward. But,
Do you think consumers prefer to interact with a human being, or do you think they prefer to interact with a bot with
prime
companies?
example of why I think consumers like people and the old school processes is Walmart. This is this has started. I don't know everyone knows this yet, but Walmart is starting to take out the self checkouts again
Take
and
it
putting
out
yes,
and then
and
putting
putting
humans back?
back in the human. Now there's more than one reason of why, but a lot of people are not happy that they have to not only check themselves out, but then they're held responsible if something misscans and then they're accused of stealing. Like there's a
Mm,
whole thing that goes into that. So I actually think you'll see kind of weird transitions go back and forth. I think in what we do in
interesting.
our industry and affiliate marketing, you have to have people. There's just no way you can't. Otherwise, it just becomes transactional. It's what can you
Yeah.
do for me? What can I do for you? How much money are we making? And then at that point, it's no longer going to be about customer service. And that's where I think it will fail because
Yeah.
customer service and the experience is what retains clients.
Yeah. I mean, part of the whole AI and automation conversation is about speed and productivity
Yeah.
and getting more done faster. I do. I mean, I'll be honest. I think one of the things it does, I'm not like afraid of it, but one of the things that I do think it's like, oh, this is a little scary. I can't stand when I see all these messages out there that are like, if you're not doing all the AI stuff, you're getting left behind, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I feel like you're going to be left behind if you're not building relationships with people.
I think
What
you
do you,
have a
I
little
mean,
both. Little of both.
little of both.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
tons of I'm a go high level person, and there's obviously automations and AI things that are going on in there. Huge advocate of that. It's amazing once you build these things and they can make your life, more efficient. It can remind you to do things. It's like having a virtual assistant in some capacities, but at the same time, if we go too far, our brains are not going to function properly. I mean,
Yeah.
Harvard just did a study on that of like research papers and allowing people to use AI, chat botting and AI researching versus the traditional way of writing papers. And they actually showed the degradation of the brain ability to function at the highest level when you just solely depend on the AI side of it. So I think that you'll see things shift. I think you'll see restrictions get put in because we have to constantly be growing as humans and we can't become dependent on technology like to that extent. I mean, I think we already are super
Yeah.
dependent on technology, but I think AI has a great place as long as it's a supplement to what you are doing. If you are
Yeah.
using AI to copy and paste and do your stuff for you and you're not actually putting a human element on it, you're going to end up failing at some point.
Mm,
Even on the
mhm,
marketing game, it's going to fail because it's not perfect yet. I don't know that it could ever be
mhm.
perfect.
Yeah. Who knows? I did hear Gary Vee say that in 20 years, he predicts that more than 50% of all marriages are going to be with a AI bot, like a robot. Like people will be married to a robot that is generated by AI. And I'm like, how? We're going to marry robots? I'm not going to marry a robot. I'm happily married. You're happily married. But what?
I
You think that's really going to happen?
I really hope not. I mean, I can see it for a certain type of person. I don't know that 50% is it's
50%. I was
that's
like,
scary.
what world are our kids going to live in 20 years if they're marrying a robot? What are you going to do? Have a robot baby? Is
Well,
that
yeah.
even
Well, that's
possible?
my thought is so at that point, we're gonna fail as society because then nobody's
Yeah.
having babies. But I guess they'll probably
Yeah.
argue that there'll be artificial babies being
Yeah.
created.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, wild. It's wild. But look, at the end of the day, it is all based on relationships. Like
Yeah.
when I mean, look at you. You changed companies. And I think this is really important. Like you changed companies, what, 6 months ago? Not
Less, but
even?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
less.
less. it's not like you lost all the relationships that you had built before. So one of the
No.
things that helps any of us be successful in the next company or with the next iteration of our business, or if you start a second or third business, or if you close one down and you start another, yeah, you're starting from scratch and you got to rebuild all over again, but you get to tap back into all the relationships that you had built up until that point. And
Yeah.
I think, we're all going to evolve, we're all going to change over time. Businesses are going to change, they're going to work, they're not going to work, whatever. Life's going to happen, but what do you actually have to rely on at the end of the day, especially when you're starting something new or starting over? You better have relationships. You better
Yeah.
have relationships that you can tap into.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make it a goal to like go reach out to everybody I knew, you know what I mean, when I left the other company. But I can tell you, even today, I got a phone call, wasn't registered on my caller ID. I happened to pick it up, and it was somebody that I had done some work, partnered with on the other company, who was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize you left. I just found out. What are you doing? Can we partner on this?" Because of the relationship, they reached out to me,
Yeah.
and because I have a bound, like I have morals and I have ethics, so like I'm not gonna like, I didn't go out and steal, but it's a different, it's not a competing offer, but it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. There's like a right way to go about it. So there were people that I still haven't talked to that about this and about what I've done. I've reached out about different things, but it's interesting to see how the relationships will continue just in a different way, and then sometimes it's even been me helping them with whatever they have going on at the other company. Because again,
Mhm.
it's about the people and the relationship first. So even if I'm not necessarily helping them on what I'm currently doing to make money, if I can help them on that side, I still want to. I still want to honor that relationship. So I
Mhm.
can't imagine a world where relationships is not in first position for me. I don't
Yeah.
I don't imagine that world.
I love that. Relationships in first position. Revenue and relationships in first position. And where does your revenue come from? Relationships.
And that's why I don't even use the revenue one. It is true, revenue should be in first position from a business,
Yeah.
perspective. But I look at it, I view it differently. If I put relationships in the
Yeah.
first position, then revenue will also be there.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. Well, that's a good place to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much, Amanda. I
Yeah.
know that you're over at Accruity, so let us know if people are interested in what Accruity does. How do they get connected with you? Who's a great person to connect with you? Tell us all the deets.
I will say, please come connect with me on social media. That's where I spend part of my day in that 4 hours is in that world because you build so much there. All of mine are just Amanda Webster, COO, because I never changed it, just left it the same. But also accruity.com. It's just an easy place to go to the website if you want to check out what we do. We're a full back office support for entrepreneurs, not just real estate, just one of our main ones, but we're all the way through tax and advisory, CFO type work. So we're here to support business owners grow and scale. So that's kind of like why, we do what we do. And that's where I fit in the world. But reach out to me on social media. I'm happy to have new friends.
Yeah. And that's any type of business. So it's not
Mhm.
just real estate investors, it's any type of business owner, any size business as well.
Any size, I mean, newbie wouldn't work only because if you're just launching, you don't have money, right? You don't have the
Yeah.
ability to pay for back office support. But any industry, the only exception is we don't do like product inventory holding businesses. It's a different style. Like we wouldn't do Amazon; they would be a little bit too hard for us.
Hmm.
But no, but any service-based business, so it doesn't matter. We just because of the background of the owner, we live in the real estate world with it with the masterminds.
Cool. Amazing. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Amanda. I'm so glad we
Yeah,
could make this happen.
me too. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. All right, everyone. You know exactly where to find Amanda on social media. Go check out Accruity. And until next time, remember to design a business and life that is built to last.